The vast crystal chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with energy as beings from 12 different star systems gathered for an emergency meeting. The chamber was huge and round with seats arranged in circles going up like a stadium. At the center stood a single human wearing a simple blue uniform that looked plain compared to the fancy robes and strange suits worn by the alien delegates around him. Ambassador Marcus Thompson stood alone in the middle of the chamber. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen many things in his 52 years. The aliens around him were making all kinds of sounds, clicking noises, strange whistles, and some were even talking without moving their mouths at all, using their minds. High Counselor Rex sat on what looked like a throne made of black metal. He was tall and thin with 4 arms and skin that looked like it was made of rocks. He leaned forward and pointed one of his long fingers at Marcus. His voice was deep and sounded like he was used to everyone doing what he said. Human Thompson, your species has exactly 72 hours to do what Resolution 4471 says. Earth must give up its military ships and tear down all the weapons around your planet. Then you must let the hegemony watch over you and tell you what to do. The other council members nodded and made sounds that showed they agreed. A being made of what looked like living crystal glowed with yellow light, while another that looked like a giant bug rubbed its jaw parts together, making a sound like laughter. Marcus did not move at all. His face showed no fear or anger. He had been in many meetings like this before and knew when someone was trying to scare him. What happens if we say no? Then Earth gets marked as a bad system, Rex said with a voice that sounded like he thought he was the most important being in the galaxy. All the ships from the hegemony will surround your system. No trade, no talking to other worlds, and no travel. Your people will be stuck there until you learn to do what we say. The chamber became quiet except for the soft humming of the machines that kept the air clean. Marcus looked around at all the different aliens. They all looked sure of themselves and acted like humans were not important. These beings had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years and had crushed anyone who tried to fight them. I see, Marcus said in a clear voice that everyone could hear. You think this will be easy? Rex made a harsh sound that was his way of laughing. Human, your people have only been flying in space for about 200 years. We have watched whole civilizations grow and die for 50,000 years. The Corvin thought they were strong with weapons that could break planets. The Ethereal Collective thought their mind powers made them impossible to beat. Both of them ended up kneeling before the hegemony. But here I am, Marcus said, taking a step forward, still standing. The air in the chamber seemed to get colder. Some of the aliens moved in their seats like they were getting ready for a fight, while others turned on personal shields around their bodies. We see that you do not want to obey, Rex said, and now his voice had real anger in it. But it does not matter. Go back to your simple world, human. Tell your leaders what we have said, and pray that they are smarter than you seem to be. Marcus smiled then. It was the kind of smile that looked friendly but also made everyone feel scared at the same time. I will make sure to tell them everything you said, High Counselor. But I should probably tell you something before I leave. What? Rex snapped. This whole talk is being sent live to every human colony, space station, and military ship in our territory. Right now, 3 billion humans are watching you threaten their homeworld. Marcus smiled even wider. I really hope you are ready for what they will do next. The chamber exploded with noise as the aliens realized what this meant. Some stood up from their seats while others started talking rapidly in their own languages. Before anyone could do anything, Marcus pressed a button on a small device on his wrist and disappeared in a column of blue light. The only thing left behind were his final words that seemed to echo in the chamber. See you in 72 hours. Rex stared at the empty spot where the human had been standing. For the first time in his long life, he felt something he had not felt in centuries: doubt. The human had not acted like someone from a weak species that was about to be conquered. He had acted like someone who knew something the Council did not. Contact the fleet commanders, Rex ordered. Tell them to prepare for immediate deployment to the Sol system. And get me all the intelligence we have on human military capabilities. As his aides rushed to follow his orders, Vrex kept staring at the empty space. The human smile kept coming back to his mind. There had been something in that smile that made him think maybe the hegemony had made a mistake, but that was impossible. The humans were primitives who had barely figured out how to travel between stars. They had no real weapons, no advanced technology, and no experience fighting wars in space. The hegemony had been watching them for decades and knew exactly what they were capable of. Still, that smile bothered him. It was the smile of someone who was not afraid. It was the smile of someone who had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. Around the chamber, the other council members were arguing about what to do next. Some wanted to attack Earth immediately, while others suggested they should negotiate. But Vrex was not listening to them. He was thinking about the humans. Last words, 3 billion humans had just watched their homeworld be threatened. 3 billion humans now knew that the Galactic Council saw them as nothing more than primitives to be controlled. And if the intelligence reports were right, humans did not react well to being threatened. "Sir," one of his aides said quietly, "the fleet commanders are requesting more information about human defenses. They want to know what kind of resistance to expect." Vrex looked at the aide. "Tell them to expect none. The humans have no real military to speak of. This should be over quickly." But even as he said the words, he wondered if he was making the biggest mistake of his very long life. The human smile had promised something, and Vrex had the feeling he was about to find out what that something was. Admiral Rebecca Kane stood in the command center of Luna Station, watching the big screens that showed where all the human ships were located. The station orbited Earth's moon and was the main headquarters for all human military operations. Around her, dozens of officers worked at their stations, coordinating the biggest military mobilization in human history. A timer on the main screen showed they had 36 hours left. "Give me a status report," she said in a voice that cut through all the noise and activity. Commander David Park walked over to her, carrying a tablet that showed real-time information about their fleet positions. "All reserve fleets have been called to active duty. The 3rd Fleet is moving to protect the Jupiter shipyards. The 7th and 9th Fleets are waiting at the edge of the solar system, ready to fight any ships that come in." "What about the colony?" "Worlds, New Terra Kepler Station, and all the mining colonies have turned on their defense systems. We told the civilians to go to safe bunkers, but most of them are refusing to leave. Instead, they are signing up to help defend their homes." Rebecca nodded. She had expected this. When humans were threatened, they did not run away or give up. They got angry and fought back. It was what made them strong, but also what got them into trouble. "Ma'am," called out Lieutenant Torres from the communications station, "we are getting messages from all over human space. The colonial militias are reporting they are fully ready for war. Even the frontier settlements are putting weapons on their cargo ships." On the main screen, they could see the whole solar system. It was covered with defensive positions that had been built overnight. Asteroid mining platforms had been turned into weapons platforms. Civilian cargo ships were being fitted with missiles and railguns. Even the science research stations were mounting whatever weapons they could find. Admiral Park said quietly, "Intelligence reports say the hegemony fleet has over 10,000 ships. They also say these aliens have weapons that can make stars explode. Are we really going to fight them?" Rebecca turned to look at him. Her face was serious and her eyes were hard. "Commander, let me tell you something about humans. We have been fighting impossible battles since our species first learned to walk. We fought giant mammoths with pointed sticks. We sailed across oceans in wooden boats. We split atoms and walked on the moon because someone told us it could not be done." She pointed at the tactical display where thousands of human ships were moving into position. "Every one of those ships has people on it who grew up hearing stories about fighting against impossible odds. Stories about small groups of people who refused to give up even when everyone said they should. We do not surrender because the odds are bad. We fight because that is what humans do." But Admiral Torres said, We are getting reports from our deep space watching stations. The hegemony fleet is huge. They have ships the size of asteroids. Good, Rebecca said, which surprised everyone in the room. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And I want to make sure the whole galaxy sees what happens when you threaten Earth. She walked to the center of the command center and activated the communication system that would reach every human ship station and colony in the system. This is Admiral Kane speaking to all human forces. In 36 hours, we will face the combined military might of the Galactic Council. They expect us to surrender? They expect us to kneel down and give up. They clearly do not know us very well. She looked around at the determined faces of her officers. We are the children of explorers and warriors, of scientists and dreamers. We are the species that took a dead rock and made it into a garden. We reached for the stars when others said we should stay on the ground. Today we show the galaxy what happens when you make humans angry. Thousands of voices responded through the communication system. Understood, Admiral? We are ready. All around the solar system, humans were working frantically to prepare for war. On Mars, the weapons factories were running at full capacity, producing missiles and ammunition. The asteroid belt mining operations had been converted to build ship armor and weapons. Even the research stations were sharing their experimental technologies with the military, but the most important preparations were happening in places the aliens could not see. Hidden bases built inside asteroids were opening their doors to reveal advanced warships. Secret research facilities were bringing out weapons that had been in development for decades. Technologies that the humans had kept hidden were finally being revealed. In the outer system near Pluto, a massive shipyard that had been disguised as an ice mining operation was launching ships that looked nothing like the simple vessels the aliens had been watching. These ships were sleek and deadly, with weapons that bent space around them, and engines that could make them disappear and reappear instantly. Admiral, Park said, looking at new reports, the hidden fleets are reporting ready. All the secret bases are coming online. The special weapons are being deployed, Rebecca smiled. Then let them come. The aliens think they know what humans are capable of. They think we are primitives who just learned to fly in space. They are about to learn that they have been watching us for decades and have seen nothing. On the main screen, the countdown timer showed 35 hours and 47 minutes. But now, instead of counting down to surrender, it was counting down to something the galaxy had never seen before. It was counting down to the moment when humanity would show the universe what they were really capable of. Send a message to all fleet commanders, Rebecca ordered. Tell them the rules of engagement are simple. Any alien ship that enters our solar system with hostile intent is to be destroyed. No warnings, no second chances. They wanted to see human fury, and that is exactly what they are going to get. The preparations continued through the night. Civilian volunteers worked alongside military personnel to get every ship ready for battle. Children too young to fight helped by carrying supplies and messages. Old people who had fought in earlier wars came out of retirement to share their knowledge. By morning, the solar system looked completely different. What had appeared to be a simple system with primitive defenses had transformed into the most heavily defended location in the galaxy. Hidden weapons platforms revealed themselves. Secret fleets moved into position. Advanced technologies that had been kept secret for decades were finally ready to be used. The aliens were about to learn that threatening humanity was the biggest mistake they had ever made. The hegemony fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system like a swarm of metal death. Nearly 15,000 ships of all sizes formed a wall of firepower that stretched across space for millions of kilometers. At the center of this massive formation was the flagship called Dominion. It was the size of a small moon and covered with weapons that could turn planets into dust. Admiral Korath stood on the bridge of the Dominion, looking at the screens that showed him what was happening in the human system. He had 6 eyes that could see in different types of light, and right now they were all focused on the tactical displays. The human fleet looked scattered and weak, hiding behind planets and asteroids like scared children. All ships, this is High Admiral Korath, he said to his fleet. Begin moving forward. Stay in formation and get ready to show these primitives what happens when you fight the hegemony. The massive alien fleet began moving toward the inner solar system. Their weapons were charging up and their shields were at full power. Intelligence reports said the humans had maybe 3,000 ships total. That was pretty good for such a young species, but it was nothing compared to hegemony technology and numbers. Admiral, his tactical officer, said, "We are seeing multiple human ships moving to attack us. They seem to be coming straight at us." Korath made a clicking sound with his mouth parts, which was how his species laughed. Brave but stupid. Tell all ships to get ready to. Suddenly the space around his fleet exploded with bright flashes of light. Hundreds of human ships seemed to appear out of nowhere, coming from behind asteroids, from the dark sides of planets, and from hiding places that should not have been possible. They did not come in neat formations like proper military ships. Instead, they swarmed like angry insects, with each ship firing everything it had before darting away at impossible speeds. "What is happening?" Korath demanded as he watched a human destroyer somehow slip between two of his heavy cruisers. The small human ship unleashed a stream of metal projectiles that punched through alien armor like it was made of paper. "How are they moving so fast, unknown Admiral?" "Their ships are doing maneuvers that should tear them apart. The forces involved should kill their crews." On the main screen, the ordered advance of the hegemony fleet was quickly becoming chaos. Human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking at weak points with perfect accuracy before vanishing again. A group of human fighters somehow got inside the shields of a hegemony battleship and exploded their weapons in the ship's power core. "Sir, we are losing the retribution." The humans somehow made their power systems explode. Korath watched in growing fear as one of his most powerful ships simply disappeared in a ball of superhot gas. That ship had shields that could withstand the power of a small star. How had primitive human weapons gotten through them? All ships fall back to defensive positions. Focus all fire on. His words were cut off as something huge crashed into the Dominion's shields. Through the windows, Korath saw something that made no sense. A human cargo ship, glowing white-hot, had somehow accelerated to nearly the speed of light and was trying to ram his flagship. The shields held, but the impact sent shock waves through the massive vessel. Emergency lights flickered as power systems struggled to handle the massive energy discharge. "Damage report," Korath screamed. "Front shields down to 60%. How did they accelerate that ship to such speed without it breaking apart?" Before anyone could answer, the tactical display lit up with new contacts. Hundreds of human ships were coming from the far side of the system with their weapons already firing. These were not the small fast ships that had been attacking his fleet. These were proper warships with hulls covered in weapons that seemed to bend space around them. "Sir, those are not normal weapons," his science officer said with a shaking voice. "They are firing compressed matter. Neutron star material? The impact force is beyond anything we have seen." His words were lost as the Dominion shook under a barrage of impacts that left deep craters in its armored hull. Warning alarms sounded throughout the ship as secondary explosions rippled through the forward sections. "This is impossible," Korath whispered, watching his seemingly invincible fleet begin to fall apart under the relentless human attack. "They are barely more advanced than animals. How are they doing this?" Through the chaos of battle, a transmission cut through the hegemony communication channels. The voice was calm, almost friendly, but carried an undertone of absolute fury. "This is Admiral Kane to all hegemony forces. You wanted to see what humans do when threatened. Congratulations, you are witnessing the birth of a new galactic power. I suggest you retreat while you still can." Around the battlefield, the impossible was happening. Human ships were doing things that violated the known laws of physics. Some ships seemed to phase through solid matter, appearing inside alien vessels before exploding. Others were accelerating to speeds that should have been impossible without special equipment. Still others were firing weapons that created their own gravity fields. "Admiral, we have lost over half the fleet," his tactical officer reported. The humans are using technologies we do not understand. Our weapons cannot lock onto their ships, and our shields cannot stop their attacks. Korath stared at the tactical display. The proud hegemony fleet that had conquered dozens of star systems was being torn apart by humans who were supposed to be primitives. Ships that had never been defeated in battle were exploding or fleeing in panic. "How?" he whispered. "How is this possible?" Another human ship materialized inside his hangar bay. This one was different from the others. It was not trying to ram or explode. Instead, it was broadcasting a message. "Hi, Admiral Korath. This is Captain Wilson of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet is defeated. Surrender now, and we will allow your surviving ships to return home. Continue fighting, and we will destroy every last one of you." Korath looked around his bridge. Half his officers were dead or wounded. Emergency systems were failing throughout the ship. Through the windows, he could see the burning wreckage of what had once been the most powerful military force in the galaxy. "Signal all ships to retreat," he said quietly. "Emergency jump to hyperspace. Get us out of here." As the surviving hegemony ships fled the solar system, the human fleet did not pursue them. Instead, they formed up in neat formations and began rescue operations, pulling survivors from the wreckage. It was almost as if they had been expecting this outcome all along. Admiral Kane's voice came over the communication. "System one more time? Let this be a message to the galaxy. Humanity will defend itself. We seek peace, but we are prepared for war. Anyone who threatens our people or our worlds will face the consequences. This is our home, and we will protect it." The Battle of Sol was over. The hegemony had been defeated, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council was chaos. High Counselor Vrex had lost his usual calm as reports flooded in from the Sol system. The hegemony fleet that everyone thought was invincible had been destroyed, with over half their ships gone. The survivors were limping back to hegemony space, with their crews traumatized and their commanders demanding answers. "This cannot be real," Vrex shouted, waving all four of his arms wildly. "The humans barely know how to fly in space. They should not have such powerful weapons." Ambassador Marcus Thompson appeared in the center of the chamber. His transport device announced his arrival with a soft sound. He looked exactly the same as he had 3 days ago, calm, relaxed, and now with just a hint of satisfaction on his face. "Good morning, honored counselors," he said pleasantly. "I trust you have been following recent events?" The chamber exploded with angry sounds. Aliens were chittering, clicking, and some were screaming in their own languages. Vrex slammed his ceremonial staff on the floor, demanding silence. "Human Thompson, your species has committed acts of war against the hegemony fleet. You have broken every treaty and Actually," Marcus interrupted, "I believe you declared war on us first." "We simply responded, rather well, I might add." The delegate from the Crystalline Confederation glowed with agitated colors. "Where did you get such weapons, such technology?" "Our intelligence report said your species was hundreds of years away from such abilities." Marcus smiled, the same expression that had worried the council 3 days earlier. "That is where you made your mistake. You assumed we were telling you everything." He turned on a holographic projector, filling the chamber with images of human colonies, space stations, and research facilities. But these were not the primitive settlements the council had been watching. These were advanced installations, some of them clearly more sophisticated than anything the hegemony had. "You see, we have been in space for 2 centuries. But we have been preparing for this moment for much longer. Every human colony, every mining station, every research outpost has been designed with one purpose: to defend our species from exactly this kind of threat." The images changed, showing massive industrial complexes hidden in asteroid fields, research stations disguised as mining platforms, and weapons testing facilities that had been pretending to be science installations. "The Vrex Mining Consortium has been buying our simple metals and minerals for decades," Marcus continued. "What you did not realize is that we were using those transactions to study your technology, your weaknesses, your tactics. Every trade agreement gave us more information about what you could do." Vrex's face had gone pale. You are saying you have been spying on us? Spying is such an ugly word. We prefer intelligence gathering. Did you really think a species that went from wooden sailing ships to space travel in less than 500 years would be happy to stay primitive forever? The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. The humans had not been hiding their abilities out of fear. They had been preparing for war. The gravity weapons you encountered, Marcus continued, were developed by studying neutron star formations. The phasing technology came from research into quantum mechanics. The acceleration systems that let our ships perform impossible maneuvers were based on theoretical physics we have been working on for decades. He showed another set of images of human ships under construction. These were not the simple vessels the Council had been monitoring, but sleek, advanced warships that seemed to bend space around them. Every insult, every dismissive comment, every act of looking down on us was carefully recorded. We knew that eventually someone would try to force us to kneel. We have been preparing for that day since our first contact with galactic civilization. The delegate from the Insectoid Collective finally spoke. Its voice was a barely controlled buzz of fear. What do you want? Marcus's expression became deadly serious. What we have always wanted, to be left alone to develop in peace. But since that is apparently not possible, we will settle for respect. He activated another hologram showing the current position of human forces throughout the galaxy. The council members gasped as they realized the scope of what they were seeing. Human settlements that were thought to be small and unimportant were revealing themselves to be major military installations. Hidden fleets were emerging from deep space. Advanced weapons platforms were coming online in systems the council had thought were empty. This is your new reality, Marcus said. Humanity is no longer a primitive species to be dismissed. We are a galactic power, and we will be treated as such. Any attempt to threaten our worlds, our people, or our independence will be met with the full force of human fury. He looked directly at Vrex with eyes as hard as steel. You asked if we dared challenge Earth's fury. The answer is no, we are Earth's fury, and we have been waiting a very long time to introduce ourselves properly. The chamber was silent except for the quiet humming of the life support systems. The aliens were trying to process what they had just learned. The humans they had dismissed as primitives were actually one of the most advanced species in the galaxy. They had been watching and learning and preparing for this moment for decades. How long? Vrex asked quietly. How long have you been planning this? Since the day we first received your message telling us about the Galactic Council, Marcus replied. We knew that eventually we would have to prove ourselves. We also knew that words would not be enough. So we prepared to speak in the only language that galactic powers understand, Force. He gestured to the holographic displays showing human military installations across dozens of star systems. Every human colony has been a military base. Every mining operation has been a weapons factory. Every research station has been developing new technologies for war. We have been building the most advanced military force in the galaxy right under your noses. The implications were staggering. The humans had not just defeated the hegemony fleet. They had been preparing to fight the entire galaxy if necessary. And from what the council could see, they might actually be able to win. What happens now? Asked the delegate from the Aquatic Federation. Marcus's expression softened slightly. Now we work together. The galaxy is a dangerous place, and there are threats that require cooperation to address. But we will work together as equals, not as subordinates. The age of dismissing humanity is over. He looked around the chamber at the stunned faces of the alien delegates. We do not want to conquer the galaxy. We want to explore it, to learn from it, to help protect it. But we will never again allow ourselves to be threatened with extinction. The council session continued for hours as the aliens tried to understand their new reality. The humans had not just revealed advanced technology. They had revealed that they were capable of long-term strategic thinking on a scale that impressed even the oldest galactic civilizations. By the end of the session, it was clear that the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted forever. Humanity had announced itself. as a major power, and there was no going back. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, the Galactic Council met for its first regular session since the human revelation. The chamber had been changed to make room for a permanent human representative. Earth's blue and white flag now hung alongside the banners of the other major powers in the galaxy. Ambassador Marcus Thompson sat in the newly built human section reading reports from across human space. The integration of humanity into galactic politics had been swift and surprisingly peaceful. Most species had quickly realized that working together was better than fighting with the new galactic power. High Counselor Rex called the session to order. His manner was much more respectful than in previous meetings. The first matter before the Council is Trade Resolution 7734, proposed by the human delegation about protecting shipping lanes. Marcus stood up and activated his holographic display. Thank you, High Counselor. As you can see from these reports, piracy in the Outer Rim has increased by 40% since the Hegemony Patrol Fleet was dissolved. We propose creating joint security forces to protect merchant vessels from all species. The proposal was met with immediate approval from most delegations. The humans had proven themselves to be fair trading partners, and their advanced technology made them valuable allies in keeping the galaxy stable. The motion is approved, Rex announced. Admiral Kane's fleet will work with existing security forces to establish patrol routes. The session continued with various administrative matters, trade agreements, and territorial disputes. What struck many observers was how naturally the humans had adapted to galactic governance. They showed no interest in dominating other species or expanding their territory through force. Instead, they focused on practical solutions to common problems. During a break, Rex approached Marcus privately. I must ask, Ambassador, why did your species choose to reveal yourselves in this way? You could have remained hidden, let us believe you were primitive. Why start a conflict? Marcus thought about the question carefully, because hiding would have been temporary. Eventually, someone would have threatened us, and we would have had to respond. Better to establish our position clearly from the beginning. And the deception? The years of pretending to be less advanced than you were? Not deception exactly. We simply did not volunteer information you did not ask for. When your traders came to our colonies, they saw what they expected to see: mining operations, farms, research stations. They never asked about our military capabilities or our long-term plans. Rex's expression was thoughtful. And now we can work together as equals. The galaxy is vast, and there are threats out there that require cooperation to address. The void touched in the outer spiral, the reality storms in the galactic core, the ancient automated systems that still defend long-dead civilizations. These challenges require the combined efforts of all spacefaring species. Yet your military capabilities remain concerning to some, Marcus nodded, which is why we have been transparent about our current strength and limitations. We have no interest in conquering the galaxy, Rex. We want to explore it, to learn from it, to help protect it. But we will never again allow ourselves to be threatened with extinction. The session resumed with discussions about exploration missions to uncharted sectors. The humans had volunteered to lead several expeditions. Their advanced sensor technology made them ideal for first contact situations. Other species were eager to participate, seeing the humans as both capable partners and effective protectors. As the day progressed, it became clear that the galaxy was adapting to its new reality. The humans had not sought to replace the existing order, but rather to join it as equals. Their technology was shared freely with allies, their military might was used to protect rather than conquer, and their diplomatic approach was based on mutual respect rather than domination. In the weeks that followed, human colonies began openly displaying their true capabilities. Advanced cities rose from what had appeared to be simple settlements. Research facilities that had been disguised as mining operations revealed groundbreaking discoveries in physics, medicine, and technology. The humans began hosting scientific conferences, cultural exchanges, and joint military exercises. The message was clear: humanity was no longer hiding. They were ready to take their place as a major galactic civilization, contributing to the common good while maintaining their independence. And strength, trade routes that had been plagued by pirates were now secure under human protection. Scientific research projects that had been stalled for decades were advancing rapidly with human participation. Even the most stubborn alien species were beginning to see the benefits of cooperation with humanity, but perhaps the most important change was in attitude. The galaxy had been ruled by fear for so long that many species had forgotten what it was like to have hope for the future. The humans brought with them not just advanced technology, but also optimism, determination, and a willingness to face any challenge. As Marcus prepared to return to Earth at the end of the session, he received a private communication from Admiral Kane. The message was brief but significant. Long-range sensors had detected signs of an ancient threat stirring in the galactic core, something that would require the combined efforts of all spacefaring species to address. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy at exactly the right moment. The universe was vast and full of wonders, but it was also full of dangers. And now, for the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy had a species that was prepared to face those dangers. On. The age of human fury had begun, but it was fury tempered by wisdom, guided by compassion, and focused on protection rather than conquest. The galaxy would never be the same. Other species were learning that humans did not just fight when threatened. They fought to protect others, they shared their knowledge freely, they welcomed diversity and encouraged cooperation. They were not conquerors but guardians. The Galactic Council that had once dismissed humanity as primitives now looked to them for leadership in times of crisis. The species that had been ignored and condescended to had become the backbone of galactic civilization. And in the depths of space, human ships continued their eternal patrol, protecting trade routes, exploring new worlds, and standing ready to defend the galaxy against whatever threats might emerge. The humans had kept their promise. They had shown the galaxy what Earth's fury looked like, and it was more terrible and more beautiful than anyone had imagined. The galaxy was safe in human hands, and everyone knew it. The age of dismissing humanity was over. The age of respecting them had begun. And the universe was a better place because of it.